You're out camping late at night with good friends by a beautiful lake, when suddenly you and your friends become the victims of some kind of bloodthirsty maniac who kills you. This sounds like the plot of a cheesy slasher movie you watched in the 80s, but no, this is a true story. It really happened, and it's more grisly than any film.
What you are about to hear is believed to be real, based on witness accounts, testimonies, and public record. This is terrifying and true.
Hey, my spookies. Welcome back to Terrifying and True on this very dark, very cold episode. We're going to plunge into the chilling recesses of history once more as we embark on a journey to unearth the macabre mystery that has haunted Finland for decades, the Lake Bodom murders. If you weren't cold before, you can expect many chills to come, as this story is one that was new to me until it was brought to our attention here at Terrifying and True, and it left an impact on me. So we'll get to all the tragic and grisly details right after these quick words from our sponsors. On a tranquil, midsummer night, something would occur forever altering the serene landscape. A picturesque lake surrounded by lush woods, Lake Bodom, a camping haven in Finland. 4 teenagers excitedly set up camp by the lake, their laughter echoing through the trees as they anticipated a night of youthful adventure. This was the early 1960s, a period of transformation for Finland. The country was gradually moving away from the aftermath of World War II and embracing modernization. Urbanization was also on the rise, but the connection to nature and rural traditions remained strong. It was a place marked by growth and tranquility. Until it wasn't. June 5th, 1960 marked the beginning of a tragedy that would etch itself into the national consciousness. As the teenagers settled into their tents, an ominous figure lurked in the shadows. In the dead of night, an unidentified assailant emerged, armed with a knife. By daybreak, the vibrant campsite had been transformed into a horrific tableau. 3 of the teenagers lay lifeless, victims of a brutal and unrelenting attack. Nils Gustafsson, the sole survivor, was discovered just outside the tent, bearing the marks of a fierce struggle. The victims of the Lake Bodom murders were 3 teenagers who met a tragic end on that fateful night. Among them was Mela Ermeli Bjorklund, a vibrant 15-year-old known for her boundless energy and zest for life. Then there was Anje Tulike Maki, also 15, cherished for her kindness and caring nature. Close friends Mila and Anja shared a tent that night, as they often did. The oldest victim, Seppo Antero Boisman, aged 18, stood out as an athletic and strong young man. The Lake Bodom murders reverberated through Finland like a thunderclap, shaking a nation accustomed to peace and security. The ensuing investigation was marred by perplexing evidence, confusion, and contradictory leads. The discovery of the Lake Bodom victims was in a frightening scene that revealed the assailants' terrible and vicious attack methods. Rather than entering the tent, the attackers struck from the outside with a knife and an unidentified blunt object, likely a rock or boulder, through the tent's edges. This perplexing strategy rendered the occupants defenseless. Gustafsson's girlfriend, Mila Ermeli Bjorklund, was discovered partially undressed from the waist down, her body lying atop the tent. She suffered the most vicious attack by far, enduring multiple stab wounds even after her death. The other 2 teenagers also met brutal fates, albeit with slightly less intensity. Nils Gustafsson himself was discovered lying atop the tent as well. This disturbing scene was further marred by the police's failure to secure the crime scene. Among the suspects entangled in the web of the Lake Bodom murders was Nils Gustafsson, the lone survivor of the gruesome attack. His status as the only person to emerge alive from the tent that night initially drew scrutiny. His injuries and inconsistent recollections of the events cast shadows of doubt over his innocence. Yet, despite the suspicion, the absence of definitive evidence eventually cleared his name. Gustafsson's life would forever bear the mark of that horrific night as he sought to move forward while battling the haunting memories of the past. Another figure emerging as a suspect in the Lake Bodom murders was Hans Assmann. Hans was a German immigrant who resided in the vicinity of Lake Bodom, whose peculiar behavior and rumored connections to occult practices raised eyebrows. The mystery surrounding him hinted towards his potential involvement. However, thorough investigations into his alibi and a lack of substantial evidence led to his exclusion from the list of suspects. While Assmann remained a shadowy figure in the narrative, the spotlight soon shifted to other individuals under scrutiny. Valdemar Gillstrom, a local known for his history of violent behavior, was also briefly considered a suspect in the Lake Bodom murders. The proximity of his association with the crime scene and his reputation contributed to suspicions directed his way. However, thorough investigations ultimately debunked any direct connection he may have had to the crime. Alibis and a lack of concrete evidence prevented him from being arrested. Despite his fleeting involvement in the case, his presence in the narrative highlights the complexities of the investigation. Another intriguing individual who came under the investigative spotlight in the Lake Bodom murders case was Pentti Soininen. His connection to the crime emerged through a series of intriguing circumstances. Soininen, a local troublemaker, had reportedly made statements that hinted at his knowledge of the murders. His behavior and comments raised suspicion among both authorities and the public at large, yet despite the potential link, tangible evidence linking Soininen to the crime proved elusive. The lack of conclusive evidence prevented his formal implication in the case. However, Soininen's brief role in the narrative highlights the intricate nature of the investigation and the complex web of potential suspects that the authorities were tasked to navigate. The motive behind the Lake Bodom murders remains an unsolved riddle, a puzzle that defies solution. Was it a robbery gone awry, or did the killer bear a personal vendetta against the victims? The seeming randomness of the attack has spawned a multitude of theories, each attempting to penetrate the veil of mystery that shrouds this chilling crime. As years turned into decades, the allure of the case only deepened. In 2004, propelled by newly discovered evidence and advancements in forensic technology, the Finnish National Bureau of Investigation reopened the case, hoping to finally unveil the elusive truth. With state-of-the-art forensic tools at their disposal, investigators revisited the crime scene, meticulously combing through long-forgotten traces of evidence that had languished for years. DNA samples collected during the initial investigation were subjected to cutting-edge analysis that had become available over the intervening decades. The hope was to glean fresh insights that could potentially shed light on the elusive truth behind the brutal murders. This second phase of the investigation was marked by painstaking attention to detail, as experts sought to rectify the mistakes made during the initial response to the crime scene. The reopening of the case provided a glimmer of hope that advancements in technology and a fresh perspective could finally bring light on the mystery that had shrouded the Lake Bodom murders for over 4 decades. Then, in a truly unexpected twist, Nils Gustafsson, whose name was not even whispered in suspicion by the public for so long, was abruptly arrested in late March 2004. The news reverberated throughout Finland, a nation haunted by the memory of the murders. By early 2005, the Finnish National Bureau of Investigation declared the case solved, based on a fresh forensic analysis conjuring an air of finality around this chilling saga. As the trial unfolded on August 4th, 2005, the courtroom became a battleground of interpretations and theories teetering on the edge of incredulity. Gustafsson's defense lawyer passionately argued that the murders bore the twisted signature of an outsider or outsiders having broken into the tent. They contended that the extent of Gustafsson's injuries rendered him incapable of inflicting such brutality on 3 victims. Then there was the saga of the shoes, which added a surreal layer to the narrative. The very shoes worn by the killer, surreptitiously hidden 500 yards from the tent, were, in fact, Gustafsson's. This intricate dance of evidence simply deepened the enigma that is this story. Amidst the riveting legal tussle, modern DNA analysis took center stage. The prosecution revealed a chilling revelation. The blood of the 3 murdered victims stained Gustafsson's shoes, yet his own blood was conspicuously absent. An eerie puzzle emerged. How could the victim's blood be present without Gustafsson's own? The prosecution wove an unsettling narrative, asserting that the lack of his blood on the shoes suggested a coldly calculated sequence. Gustafsson, they claimed, had inflicted the horrors, staged a theft by concealing items, further wounded himself, and then returned to the tent, barefoot, feigning unconsciousness. The courtroom echoed with haunting testimony, including alleged identifications by birdwatchers who claimed Gustafsson was the enigmatic figure at the crime scene. A whispered, incriminating remark supposedly overheard hung heavy in the air. And then, on October 7th, 2005, a verdict was rendered. A verdict that cast a spell of disbelief. Gustafsson was acquitted of all charges. The court cited the inconclusive nature of the prosecution's evidence, their failure to unveil a motive befitting the gravity of the crime, and the inexorable passage of time eroding the certainty of facts. As if plucked from the realm of Gothic tales, the conclusion materialized. Gustafsson walked free. The state of Finland, in a surreal twist, offered recompense for his mental anguish, a sum haunted by the memory of his long remand time. Yet, even in acquittal, the shadows of suspicion and the echoes of unanswered questions lingered, casting chilling pall over the legacy of the Lake Bodom murders. And despite the renewed efforts to unravel this whole mystery, the case remained stubbornly cryptic. Amidst all of this uncertainty, a particular theory began to gain traction: the involvement of an outsider. Speculation grew that the killer might have been a transient figure passing through, leaving behind no discernible connection to the victims. This narrative raises unsettling questions about the arbitrary nature of violence, hinting that justice might forever elude a definitive resolution. The Lake Bodom murders became more than just a crime. They evolved into a cultural phenomenon. The case's notoriety led to its integration into various art forms, including literature, films, and music. The horror genre in particular found inspiration in the story's dark undertones, perpetuating the fascination with the unknown and the macabre. For example, the chilling saga of the Lake Bodom murders has not only captured the imagination of the public, but has also compelled authors to put pen to paper. Jorma Palo and Matti Paloro, two Finnish writers, embarked on an exploration of the enigma, producing a trilogy of books that delve deep into the haunting narrative. Their works include The Mystery of Bodom, 2003, Assurance or Death, The Mystery of Han Osman, 2004, and Nils Gustafsson and the Shadow of Bodom, 2006. These books weave together the threads of fact and speculation, inviting readers to traverse the eerie landscapes of one of Finland's most perplexing and violent mysteries. In 2016, the horror story of Lake Bodom's murders found its way to the silver screen with the release of the Finnish slasher horror film Lake Bodom, as the film draws inspiration from the shocking events of the incident, but takes viewers into the realm of joy and terror simultaneously, capturing the fear and uncertainty that permeates that fateful night. The story unfolds in the wake of unsolved crimes as shadows and ancient texts work together on screen to burn Lake Bodom. It's a cinematic portal to the mystery that has plagued Finland for decades. The Lake Bodom murders also left an indelible mark on the music of Finland, as evidenced by the Finnish death metal band Children of Bodom. The band's name, which directly refers to the lake where the chilling events happened, tells a lot about history, while creating some delightful musical suspense. Through their music, Children of Bodom reflect the emotions and atmosphere that have surrounded the topic for decades. The band's hit songs are often infused with pitch-black undertones, providing a musical interpretation of the mystery that continues to captivate the nation. The Lake Bodom murders serve as a stark warning. Appearances can be deceiving, hiding unspeakable horrors. This chilling incident reveals the intricacies of human nature, showcasing both its capacity for acts of immense compassion and shocking brutality. Delving into these stark depths, we unearth not only the darkest aspects of humanity, but also glimpse the remarkable resilience of communities in times of catastrophic tragedy. You know the saying, the grass is always greener on the other side? Well, this story makes me think of it because a lot of us, especially in the United States, like to think that there are sanctuaries, places that are mythically safe and beautiful and kind. Often we think of places like our neighbor to the north, Canada, or European nations like Finland, but the truth is, everywhere on earth has beauty and sorrow, has kindness and cruelty. So, what do we take from a story like the Lake Bodom murders, a situation where maybe they caught the man, but he walked away? I think the best way to take this is simply be kind, because the world is what we put into it. My heart goes out to the families of the victims and also to the law enforcement in Finland who were simply completely unprepared to manage such a horrible incident. I'm sure it doesn't bring them any peace or joy to know that they simply weren't prepared at the time to solve such a crime. But what do you think? Do you think they had him and he got away? I'm simply not sure. Terrifying and True is narrated by Enrique Couto. It's executive produced by Rob Fields, produced by Daniel Wilder, with original theme music by Ray Mattis. If you have a story you'd like us to cover on the program, send us an email at weeklyspooky@gmail.com. And if you want to support us in a very direct way, go to weeklyspooky.com and click on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can support us and allow us to keep the spooky rolling and rolling and rolling. And I want to say a big thank you to our Patreon podcast boosters, folks who pay just a little bit more to hear their names at the end of the show. And they are Johnny Nix, Bobbletopia.com, Megan Hua, Julia Kirsch, Brent McCullough, Steve King, Karen Weemet, Jack Kerr, and Craig Cohen. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time right here on Weekly Spooky and Terrifying and True.